Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Jedis, a podcast series by InMobi in association with Microsoft. I'm Kunik Patel and lead the industry sales vertical at InMobi. We have an inspiring conversation lined up for you today. I'm excited to welcome our guest, Udit Malhotra, head of marketing at MG Motors India. Udit does not need much introduction. Most of you guys must have seen him in most of the marketing conclaves and meets that we normally have in India, and also quite an active member on LinkedIn. But I would like to invite Udit to just give a brief background about his work and himself.
I thank you so much for the introduction. It's glad to be a part of the podcast series. My name is Udit, and I currently head marketing for MG Motors. And I've been working here for close to 4.5 years. And my previous stints, I've worked with a lot of tech companies, BFSI companies, and auto players. So in totality, I've worked for close to 13 years now. And I specialize in digital marketing, content marketing, and integrated marketing and very passionate about marketing automation and marketing technologies. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. So yeah.
Thanks, Udit, for the intro. So we'll kick off the questions. We have some interesting questions lined up for you today, Udit. To begin, we want to like to kick off this show with the first question. We'd love to know about your journey in the automobile industry and how did it start?
So it's a really funny incident, and I can start with that. I am an engineer per se by the degree per se, if you go by it. And I did my bachelor's in computer applications, and I'm a Microsoft certified system engineer. So the first stint was with one of the best OEMs in the world, which was Dell. So I worked with Dell Computers in the starting of my career, and then one fine day, what happened is I told my dad that I don't want to be a system administrator. I don't want to work for a tech company. And that time, what was happening was digital marketing was on its peak. Like in today's scenario, if you see NFTs, crypto is on its peak, blockchain
Yeah,
is on its peak. So back in 2007-8, what was happening was digital marketing was on its peak. And what I did
yeah,
was I did my first internship in digital marketing back in 2008. So that's where my passion for digital marketing started. I started analyzing data. I started getting engaged in forums and conversations where, I would be helping people just out of courtesy because I knew tech, or I was exploring various platforms and the things of those sorts. Then what happened is I went to the agency life. I worked for the WPP group for a fair period of 6 years, and in that fair period of 6 years, I got the opportunity to work Fortune 500 brands, including fashion brands, BFSI brands, automotive brands, some of the greatest brands in the world. And automotive was given to me honestly as a pilot project when I joined. Being the newest guy in the company, first time I was given an automotive project. And I'm proud to say that I was the only one to stay on the business for close to 6 years. So
wow,
that's where I delved, with a lot of passionate about automobiles. But with that automotive player, what also happened is I learned about a lot of tech. It was truly a digital first company, and I got both exposures in Indian market and international markets, where I actually learned a lot of tech. Then one fine day, what happened was I said, I don't want to work with these companies who always go for regional approvals. We'll go to the APAC lead for approval. We'll go to
yeah,
this lead for the approval. We go to that lead for approval. And then I got interviewed by MG coincidentally. And here I got a clean slate. And
right,
it is truly embodying startup culture at its peak. Uh, we
right,
have a very lean team, maximum 8 people in the marketing team. We have our in-house digital team. So whatever you see from the house of MG today, whether it is on the content marketing front, whether it is on the digital transformation front, or whether it is the marketing automation front or performance marketing front, it all comes
yeah,
from within. It is from in-house.
yeah,
Prior to my current role with MG as head of marketing, I was actually heading digital marketing, digital transformation, and marketing automation within MG as well. So it is now close to 3 years that I've been leading the marketing head role at MG, and that's all how it started. Auto was completely incidental. I like to say that, and good
yeah,
things happen incidentally. So this was never a planned move. that either I would take digital marketing, neither that was a planned move, nor automotive was a planned move. I think all things happen by passion. Stars aligned, something happened that I found both automotive and digital passions coming together, and then a great innings currently with MG. So
Yeah.
that's broadly about how I encountered auto and how all of this happened.
Awesome, Udit. And kudos to you and your team for making MG a household name in India in such a small span of time. Kudos to you guys for that.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Moving on to our next question, Udit. Wanted to understand how did the automobile industry evolve overall, specifically from a technological standpoint, and what are the new developments in this sector, as per you?
See, I won't be able to comment on the competition, but let's go back to the pandemic. Definitely, pandemic gave rise to digital transformation at large scale, digital transformation at large for a lot of
Yeah,
players because the consumer behavior and the psyche was changing. But
absolutely.
fortunately, like I said, when I joined MG, we were on a clean slate. We were on a clean slate, completely clean
Yeah,
slate. We did not have any legacy systems. We did not have
yeah,
any fragmented data and CRM systems. And we were building everything from the scratch. So I'm
right.
proud to say that, whether it's the CRM to the dealer management system to the marketing automation stack that we use, which is Adobe. We are Adobe's biggest client in India when it comes to
Okay.
MarTech enablement in terms of personalization, hyper personalization. We built it from scratch from day one. So when technically COVID hit, while others were starting to accelerate their digital transformation journey or digital marketing journey, or as I may say, CX enhancement journey, the customer
Mm,
experience enhancement journey, we were already at it because we were building it since 2017. In fact, if you would see, when we launched in India, we were the first ones to start direct online bookings,
yes. Yeah.
for the Hector. And now, if you
Correct.
see, from pre-reserving the Aster to seeing the visibility of where your car is, we believe in a lot of transparency when it comes to enhancing customer experience. So,
Right.
going back to your question, the pandemic did accelerate a lot of stuff when it comes to customer experience enablement. And when I'm
Right.
talking about customer experience enablement, it is about assisted buying, it is about digitization, it is about experiencing cars at the blink of your home. So, car configurators and
Right.
all those things have been there throughout the years, but it accelerated at such a peak frequency that people wanted to talk to a sales consultant sitting at home. People want to
Right.
experience and build their configuration sitting at home, to the fact that we have an option on our online booking journey, an online customization journey, where you can even get your car delivered to the home. You can even
Right.
pay full payment of your car online. So all these things got accelerated. Why? It was not that the brands actually wanted to do it, and I'm talking about legacy brands and that are there. It is they were forced to do it because the customer
Yeah.
wanted it.
Correct.
However, if you look at the newer automotive brands, even the newer two-wheeler brands or the newer four-wheeler brands, they built all of this from day one because they knew
Right.
that it was a clean slate and this would actually come. So I would attribute maximum digital transformation, maximum experience enhancement for the customer attributed to the pandemic. However,
Mm,
like I just said that in the case of MG, we already started the digital transformation journey since
yeah.
2017. So we've been on a marketing automation journey since early 2017, and a manifested one, or you can say advanced martech automation from 2018 mid with the launch of Hector and other products that we had. So
Yeah.
and we've been we've been the first ones to say that first party data would be the king. When Google announced the blocking of third party cookies and third party cookies going away, I'm just giving you a fact that we've been on a data management platform or a DMP, as you may say, since 2018. We've been collecting first party data since early 2018. So we have a lot
Right.
of reliance on our first party data than relying on second party data or third party data for that matter of fact. So while these may sound jargons, you can definitely counter me. You're from MOB, so you may understand that. But for most modern marketeers, I think customer experience enhancement and accelerating digital transformation efforts is the
Yeah.
way to be on top of everything. If you will not change now, then you know you cannot change for the future.
True that. I think what MG has done in India has been unprecedented. In fact, being a digital first company in the automobile sector is a rarity in this country, and probably MG led the way. As you mentioned, 2017 onwards, you were well prepared even before the onset of the pandemic. So again, I would just like to say kudos to you guys for having that vision in place, and that's what it's showing right now in the market as well. So all the best for the future as well. But
Thank
truly
you.
an inspirational story nonetheless. I have a follow up question on question two. A lot have happened. A lot has happened in the past 1 year with the onset of the pandemic. There has been restructuring that has happened in the space, and now things are being completely digital, as you mentioned as well. There has also been a lot of challenges that companies have had to face to get here. Right? Can you share some insights from your experience in that past 1 year? You covered a bit in
Uh,
your previous answer, but I would just like to elaborate in terms of if you have any ideas on that as well.
See, the biggest challenge that legacy brands had was fragmentation of data systems.
Right.
Where was the struggle? Everything existed, but everything existed in pieces.
In silos, yeah.
The biggest struggle was, how do you unify your marketing efforts or customer experience efforts? So the biggest challenge that you may see legacy brands or the old age players industry, they may be selling huge number of vehicles, and they may be doing the volume game, as you say it in the automotive
Yeah.
space. But the biggest setback was, how do I consolidate my data that I have collected over 20 years? How
Correct.
do I make a unified journey for the customer for the last 20 years? There may be one guy who came out of the blue. uh, he made one system, then there is another guy, he's leading another
Yeah.
department, that came into the picture. The biggest challenge for marketeers even till today is unification of data, and how do you use that data. Data is a very
Right.
loosely used word, that I have data, but what do you do with that data? uh,
Yeah.
that was that was the biggest journey. And like I said, unification for us was the biggest advantage.
Mm.
Nobody had unified systems. So we have SAP
Right.
as our CRM, we have Adobe as our marketing cloud.
Okay.
Since
Yeah.
day one, both talk to each other. If you go offline, we have your data online. If you are
Right.
online, the sales consultant can access that offline. So unification of systems was a big problem, and that's why
Right.
one thing that everybody needs to think about is, how do you build an enterprise architecture for your systems for the future. So
Right.
when we did the landscaping of our integrated CRM systems and digital marketing systems, and even for measuring TV, for example, I'm not talking about just digital and CRM. How are you
Yeah.
unifying systems at an enterprise level? How are you making that enterprise architecture with a vision of the future?
Right.
So that's the way brands are trying to reconstruct themselves now. And
Right.
my strong feeling is, and my strong perspective is, that the newer age brands are already working on products, already working
Yeah.
on services that will manifest in the future. You may not see them now. You may say that this will not happen in the next 5 years, but at the
Right.
end of 5 years, the product that they will have will not be there with the legacy player, because they've worked five
Correct.
years just to develop the product. So auto
Absolutely.
companies will bound to be moved to work like product companies, because over and
Mm.
above what they are selling as cars, they will need to enhance their customer experience using digital first products. So
Yeah.
that is the way. And like I said, unification becomes a big game. One person has to own the entire enterprising architecture, the unification journey. There has to be a digital transformation specialist in the country. It cannot run on whims and fancies of, okay, this new guy came and this guy tried to change everything. Everything has to be driven
Yeah.
with a purpose. So that's
Absolutely.
broadly my learning. And honestly speaking, we got a lot of freedom here, a lot of support from our CIO, a lot of support from the leadership, is why we are able to make that journey unified. Never a question was
Absolutely.
asked that why you were doing this. A lot of trust from our senior leadership, our MD, our CIO, including everybody at MG. So I've been blessed to have mentors where less questions, more execution, more trust has happened and has led to us what we are today. So, and we will continue to do so. Our journey is not stopped.
Yeah.
There is a progressive digital marketing roadmap for MG. It's just the beginning, is all I can say. We have a lot in store, a lot of action packed work happening at the back end, lots to do. I would just say that it's been 3 years of operations for us. So we can't be overconfident in saying we have done it all. It's just a
Yeah.
progressive journey for us. we have a lot more to do, and my team's really enthusiastic. So we will make it happen for a lot of stuff in the future. So that's all I can say at the moment.
Absolutely. You hit the nail in the head. People and companies, legacy companies, as you put it, are sitting on tons and tons of data. The only issue is how do they use that data? And I think data is the fuel that drives every organization, and you guys have done a wonderful job of it. Uh, I'm all ears, Udit, as you give us answers and share with us your insights on this particular industry. So moving on to the next set of questions. Wanted to check from your end, how has the advent of apps transformed the brand audience relationship in terms of awareness, acquisition, engagement, and more, specifically from an auto industry standpoint?
See, again, I would say they became the need of the hour. Uh,
Yeah,
it was not to do with, you just build an app and it's happened.
correct.
There is a purpose behind the app. Now,
Absolutely.
generally in our case, we see, which is the MyMG app or the customer app that we have, is post customer acquisition. Question
Correct.
is, nobody will download an app forcibly. And if you're doing that,
Mm,
you're wasting money, you're wasting your dollars in those app install ads until he's a product owner. So when the
correct.
customer wants to book a test drive, wants to experience the MG store, wants to experience a service booking, needs to know about his schedule maintenance, needs to know the statistics of his car. Because if you know the
Yeah,
Hector, the ZSEV, the Gloucester, they are all connected cars. So the
correct.
connected car data, the remote execution of the connected car commands like opening sunroof, unlocking the car, powering on the AC. It is because of the connected tech we brought to the car. The
Yeah,
app was complementing the car. So the post facto journey for us has been, all these apps by default get downloaded without marketing push, because customer derives value out of the app. So if he
right,
wants to start the app, start the car before he reaches the car itself, that's where the connected car tech comes into the play, and he can, let's say, roll
right,
down his windows, he can open his sunroof, he can turn on his AC. So rather than saying why did we create the app, we first created the product truth inside the car. The layer of the internet car came into the picture, and that's how people are using the app for their utility. Now, one is
right.
utility in terms of day-to-day driving and mobility, and the other is utility in terms of maintaining your car, knowing how you drive. Like we have the smart drive, statistics in the car, where you get to know your driving score, whether you
Yeah,
harsh braked, whether you did overspeeding, what is the fuel efficiency that you're getting. Customer likes all of this. The
yeah,
customer says that, let me see, aaj maine gaadi kaise chalai. How did I drive
correct.
my car? Oh, today I did not get good fuel efficiency. Let me drive better next time. So customers
Yeah,
also motivated. It's like that gamification thing. When you get to see
exactly.
data, when you get to see a
Mm,
score about how you've driven, you're saying, yeah, maybe I was overspeeding on the highway. Okay.
yeah,
Or maybe I could have driven better, or maybe I could have not harsh brake in my car. Or let's say if
yeah,
we take the EV, we may say, oh, I have saved so much of CO2. So in our
yeah,
EV, we show how much CO2 you have saved when you're driving the electric vehicle. So it is again a gamified leaderboard where people are, seeing each other how much CO2 each and every one of you are saving. So I would not say apps were created for the heck of creation.
yeah,
Most of, again, I would say, new age players who are working in this space of connected tech, where MG is definitely a leader, is to
yeah,
first derive the utility inside the product, which is the vehicle or the SUV, and thereby apps are the subset of it. Because if you need to
yeah,
utilize those features, if you need good insights, if you need good data, if you need convenience at your fingertips, you're actually using all these apps. So
right.
I don't think the pandemic or anything has forced app usage. The moment the customers realize the product truth, that he'll get benefit, he'll derive benefit out of the app, he's now automatically downloading the app.
Right,
Whereas legacy players are pitching apps and solutions in a fragmented way, saying that,
right,
you can now see this, you can now see that. It does not come as an integrated solution inside the car. It comes as an ad
correct.
hoc device or a
Yeah,
dongle or an external device. Now, how many of
absolutely.
them purchase it may not be the best case. So
Right.
this is again, my perspective, my observation. Being doing this for the last 4.5 years, this is the observation from my side.
Awesome. It's quite interesting to hear that your apps are quite complementing to the product that you guys are selling, and how are you actually building awareness and engagement of the users who are actually using your product, and how apps play a very important role as far as MG ownership is concerned. So it's quite interesting, because most of the engagements that I see with my car apps is only for updating me on the service, which is due. Apart from that, I have absolutely no clue in terms of how my driving is, and how well can I improve my driving in terms of what the car is sending me feedback on. So probably that is something that all the other traditional players need to learn, and I think these are interesting points that they can pick up from your discussions that you are having with us today. Quite interesting, honestly. Okay, Adit, moving on to the next question. Wanted to check, please share more about the role of data-driven insights and analytics in marketing for MG. How has MG Motors leveraged AdTech? And I know you guys have leveraged it a lot for growth and ride on the wave of digital evolution to stay ahead of competition. It's
Okay,
quite
that was
relevant from an MG
even
standpoint.
that those were again too many jargons even for me. But I will try to simplify it as a marketer. See, when we were crafting the roadmap for MG as a brand, the marketing brand, it was since day one a digital first brand. So the
Right,
essence of data management, creation of data lakes, creation of data warehouses is still something that we are big on, because that
right,
is the customer data that we are trying to derive for cross-channel, omni-channel marketing.
right.
Now, and we at MG truly believe in one philosophy, which is a 5C approach. Okay. Now, this 5C approach is basically a content to commerce journey,
Okay,
because a lot of
right,
places where most OEMs fail is, yeah, lead ad chala lo, you know,
right,
just run a performance marketing campaign. But if you're
right.
not doing the proper funneling, if you're not
Mm,
working on a content to commerce journey, then essentially what you're doing is you're just doing blind targeting to the customer without any
yeah,
derived insight. So, to that fact, data and insights actually work both ways, even in the offline journey. So, I'll just quote an example to you. If you are on my website and you've seen the iSmart page, you've seen some top
mm,
5 pages, you spend time, my sales consultant already knows that you've spent two odd minutes on my website, 2.5 minutes. This is your first visit
sure,
or second visit on the website. You were interested in, let's say, cost of ownership, or you were interested in the connected car technology. So he gets the insight to do a sales pitch to you, basis the insights that we are deriving. Similarly, on the
got
Martech
it.
front or on the AdTech front, what we are doing is we are doing real-time cohorts. So we use Adobe Media Optimizer, we use Google tools like DB360, DBM360 to do real-time segmentation and cohorts based on the interests of the consumer based on his user journey. Again, this cannot be just attributed to one ad or
Yeah,
first click or last click. It's a pervasive journey because data is evolving and we are
correct.
using real-time audience segmentation. There are very few clients in India
Yeah,
who use asynchronous real-time audience segmentation to serve an ad. By real time, I mean it is as good as 30 minutes, which means that, for example, if you've come and visited the ad, you've been added to a segment pool in the next 30 minutes. And if you're
got
running
it.
an ad for remarketing, for lookalike audiences, you'll be served that ad basically once you're added to that audience pool. So,
Right.
and when we talk about the 5C journey with data and analytics, is firstly, we focus on content because that's the biggest input that the marketer gives into the system. Then we talk about collaboration. So we not only work with, let's say, the lead aggregators or other people, but also with community collaborators, cohesive
Mm,
communities. Let's say travel audiences that are interested in auto, we partnered with Tripoto. Let's say photography audiences, we partnered with Photographers of India. So cohort-based marketing or collaborative marketing is also that we are looking at, where we are trying to get contextual cohorts built in with third-party marketing. Then comes the entire community aspect, because there is community there, you get evolved into that. It leads
right,
to a lot of conversation, which is the fourth C. And the fifth C is where you are getting into the commerce transaction. So
right.
there is a full content to commerce strategy here. And like I said, data and insights are obviously used to improve our lead ratios, our opportunity ratios, test drive conversion. That's the just the performance part, marketing part of the game. But there are a lot more insights which even lead to product enhancements, which take customer feedback, which lead to insights at the dealership and the sales consultant level. So, like I said, it's all stitched into the enterprising architecture of an omni-channel journey. It is not just
Right.
that AdTech can solve for problems at the dealership, or dealership can solve problems for the AdTech.
Right.
Whatever is relevant to what part of audience at MG, whether the dealer, whether the central marketing office or the consumer, we are segmenting data in that sense so that we utilize the data in relevant form. Or else again, it will become, I have so much data, what do I do with that data?
Right.
We don't want to make that story that I have 50 million audience pool. Now what do I do with it? So
Correct.
unless you have cohorts, segments, and
Yeah.
insights, we also get insights that, if somebody doesn't like a creative or has just bounced back or has not, we get audience insights. So let's not run this ad. It's
Hmm.
underperforming. It's overperforming.
Right.
So those are some of the real-time insights that we work on. And Adobe's Marketing Cloud stack definitely helps us. We are on the full stack of Adobe Marketing Cloud products. So from Adobe Experience
Right.
Manager, Target, Campaign, Adobe Media Optimizer. So end-to-end funneling, Adobe
Yeah.
Analytics as well. So we use all six products to give a unified journey. Again, marketeers can change MarTech products, but I will
Hmm.
go back to my fundamental of unification. Having one consolidated MarTech stack gives you the ability to maintain the user journey from
Right.
start to finish against one unique identifier.
So as you mentioned, from content to conversion and everything in between, in terms of real-time data collection, how do you use that data in terms of reaching out to users, retargeting, and so on and so forth. I think it's wonderfully put together by you. I think it's a lesson for others to also replicate, or if not, I know it's a little difficult to replicate in such a short span of time, but at least take some insights in terms of how to actually run your campaigns on the digital platform by using the different products and services that are available and leverage them to the fullest. I think you
I,
guys
I
are
would
doing a
say
wonderful.
I would say to make a base like this, you need minimum 2 years
I
to have
know,
a
I know, I know.
if
You've had a yeah, you've had a head
if you
start, and your team is quite aligned in terms of what's happening in terms on the digital side and how to leverage it. But obviously, for anyone who's coming into this platform, it's something new for them. I'll assume myself it will take some amount of time. As you mentioned, 2 years is what one takes to at least learn the fundamentals of using the platform to the fullest. So, next question is, how can marketers strike a balance while driving innovation in the automobile sector? I know you have touched all the points and hit the nail where it needs to be hit, but I still want you to answer this question once again. How can marketers strike a balance while driving innovation in the automobile sector?
see, I believe here there was one leader. Obviously, I can't quote his name, but I learned one thing from him. It's the rule called 1990. Okay, so
Okay.
that 90% is what happens as the rut. The one and
Right.
the nine actually lead to the innovation. So one thing is very clear in the 1990 rule is you need to have people who focus on the one and nine because 90 is already running.
So, right.
So in that 1990 journey, what actually happens is where you have the brink of innovation.
Correct.
So and that's the point where you're actually getting out of your daily rut and saying, "Okay, I've already done this. Now, how do I innovate this? You know,
Right.
so or how do I break through the clutter?
Sure.
In this particular series. So
Yeah.
the only suggestion to any marketeer is don't live on past laurels. I tell this to myself every day.
Hmm.
You are
Right.
as good as yesterday. Your boss, your
Correct.
peer, your colleague, your organization only remembers you till the last work that you have done. What value
Absolutely.
you are adding today into the system is what matters. What innovation or what suggestion or what I bring to the table today in the current context, in the current scenario, in the given situation will be of value. So I have this
Right.
1990 rule, and I keep on challenging my team to work on that one big innovation every quarter. There are 9 enhancement-led innovations that we do on the ongoing processes. And 90, for example, is the performance marketing piece, which is bread and butter.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody says, do you stop performance marketing? I would say no. But yeah, do
No.
you innovate in performance marketing? I would say yes.
Yeah.
So, and see, the fuel for 90 for us is at least streamlined. For others,
Correct.
it may not be that
Yeah.
streamlined.
Yeah.
But this 1990 approach is what I, follow. It definitely helps. And there should be one big innovation even in every company's product roadmap every year. So we will have our
Sure.
own fair bit. AdGully is a partner. They'll get to know it when the right time comes. Lot of MarTech innovation. We're still working on some industry first MarTech innovations. Again, not for technologists or not for MG, but for customers. Whatever we are doing is for the customer experience piece. We're not doing anything that will only help the brand or the dealer. It has to help everybody, but most importantly, the customer. That will be our endeavor. And like I said, my
Right.
rule of innovation is 1990. It gives the ability to detach yourself from the daily rut of work. And that's
Right.
how one can progress.
Sure. Got it. I've written down 1990 rule for myself to also consider in my professional journey. So thanks for that. Uh, Last question, Udit, we have for you today is where do you think the ad tech space is headed, and what are the trends to watch out for this space, and how will that affect the automobile segment in the next 5 years, as per you?
It's an interesting question, but you know, I think transparency and trust in the ad tech space is a big concern, even till today.
Yeah, correct.
I think one trend that has to change is the transparency and transparency and trust piece in the ad tech space. There are multiple people
Right.
selling botnet solutions, anti-spam solutions. There is agency level floor CPM being set, client level floor CPM being different. So, and these are real problems. Okay, so
Yeah.
and I take these up with my agency, so I know what's the real thing there. Firstly, AdTech has to have more trust and transparency, more accessibility. If we are the customers and our customer experience is bad to onboard an SSP and a DSP platform, if we want to become a media buying agency as MG tomorrow, I think we should have
Yeah.
that flexibility to do it in a DIY manner. So for AdTech,
Yeah.
how can an AdTech platform become a DIY platform for any marketer,
Anyone.
not just a digital marketer? I'm saying any marketer.
Sure.
It means my brand lead on Hector can use that stack to say, okay,
Right.
I want to advertise on this leading newspaper online at the click of a button. I manage my centralized spends, and the commission transparency and the floor CPM transparency or the bidding transparency is there for me, whether linear
Sure.
models, whether regression models, so that there is a fair bit of understanding there. Second part is
Right.
how will ad tech go into spaces other than video, display, and others, or let's say
Right.
HTML5. It's a saturated space. Uh,
Absolutely.
Audio is definitely really big, but I think only few FMCG brands or let's say CPG brands are leveraging them to their benefit. Not
Right.
all people are able to benefit out of the audio space right now. There are
Right.
huge opportunities. It's still untapped. Even podcast, for example, is a big opportunity. We've
Yeah.
worked with a lot of players in the past, but see, again, somebody needs to drive this podcast-led innovation or audio-led innovation in your team as well. You can't really say
Correct.
that this publisher is doing it. Let me do this today and I forget it tomorrow. There has to be
Right.
consistent effort in the area. Third part is AR, VR, and meta spaces, as they are saying it right now, which we in our head in conventional uh, world would say virtual reality headset or augmented. How will one be able to advertise in meta or Web
Mm.
3.0 spaces without the use of external hardware? See, everything that is being talked about Meta or Web 3.0 is either to do with non-regulated currency, it's to do with dependency on hardware, it's to do with AR and VR. That's about it. But meta spaces correlated to gaming will
Yeah.
be a big
Predominant.
thing. Gaming
Right.
will take over, and how AdTech can contribute to gaming in meta spaces in Web 3.0 will be a big game changer. As you may know, the gaming space is now becoming a play to earn space where people are being
Yeah.
rewarded to spend time and they earn. So that I
Right.
see is a big opportunity where you are playing to earn. Brands will be able to spend more towards Gen Y and Gen Z audiences to do early brand building with in-game integration. Thereby,
Right.
EdTech players have more opportunities to advertise in Web 3.0 spaces. I would not just use the word meta, but I would say Web 3.0 spaces, which where gaming takes most prominence.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
the third thing and the fourth thing here is, even in meta spaces, there has to be um, a standardized schema. Like, there is now standardization of single sign-on and other kinds of schemas that are there, which makes interoperability of platforms easier. So
Easier.
as
Yeah.
meta space evolves, there should be ability or an API or a schema where, let's say, Sandbox can talk to Decentraland can talk to Spatial.io can talk to Facebook's Meta universe. So that
Yeah.
unification of logins and interoperability of gaming platforms or NFT platforms in the meta
Hmm.
spaces would be a great opportunity for any ad tech player. It will be like an SSP platform tomorrow opening up in the
Right.
meta space, which I really feel can be big. Gaming already takes a lot of precedence in the country,
Right.
from kids to mothers uh, to techies. Everybody spends some a portion of their time to
Good amount of
gaming.
time. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
these are the things. I think with video will continue to rise, but how distinct the content creation part becomes would be a very, very key thing. Creator
Right.
marketing is doing really well, but creator marketing also hits saturation with the same kind of content coming every time. So creator marketing is big, but measurement and relevancy of creator marketing content will be the biggest game changer. There are certain platforms who are already working on data efficiencies there. So
Right.
aggregation and deciphering influencer marketing or creator marketing data would be big. And rise of independent creator content agencies that just creates content for reels, for other platforms, would be on the rise, because if you see, D2C brands are rising. So the more
Right.
the D2C brands are coming, the more innovatively they are trying to spend on their brands, and they
Correct.
may not go with mainstream marketing. So what is taking the
Absolutely.
rise? There is ad tech, there is digital ads, there is mainstream social media ads that they're taking ads like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then there is creator marketing. Because in my humble opinion,
Right.
while they are cat A, cat B, cat C influencer, biggest influencers, I still
Yeah.
feel the value that is derived out of that in terms of awareness is very good. Yes, but how do you measure conversion and bottom funnel with influencer marketing? It still,
Yeah.
remains a big question. And the
Right.
last trend that I see is the rise of social commerce in India. It is already
Yeah.
been seen in South Asian markets. Social commerce will take a big rise. One day, one fine day, a person will come. He'll be an influencer. He'll come like a TV brand
Right.
and he'll sell you stuff. Some of the leading fashion brands in the industry have started doing piecemeal approaches to that. Very good work, but in that space, at least in the online fashion space. And I think it will take a big rise. It will not only be about
Correct.
influencer and fashion blogger recommendations, but it would be that they are coming on the platform, they are endorsing the product, they are selling it in real time.
Real
And
time.
if
Yeah.
you see global social commerce case studies, they will blow your mind. And what
Yeah.
eventually the influencer gets out of it is a fair cut of commission, like 10-15% of the total
Absolutely.
sales. So he'll
Yeah.
ditch your creator campaigns. He'll say, yeah, I've done enough influencer
Enough.
campaigns.
Yeah.
Why don't I run my own social commerce platform? So that's
Right.
where they will start earning money from. And the best brands that will leverage out of it would be peripheral brands, would be fashion brands, would be small goods brands, where
Yeah.
medium and small enterprise will come and start selling their products on social commerce. uh,
Right.
that's how I see this growing, and those are some of the trends. I think I talked about six things. You may
Yes.
like to summarize them in your thing. I don't know if everybody is thinking in the same direction, but this is my perspective.
But that's awesome, Udit. The number of initiatives and the innovations that you just discussed, the six innovations that you are looking out for the future probably are the ones which I think the entire industry is also working towards in India. As you mentioned, social commerce, it's something very predominantly being used in China, and we've seen a lot of feedback coming in from that market as well, which can be replicated here in India. And probably we have taken from an InMobi's perspective also baby steps towards it, but obviously we are still some years away in terms of actually leveraging this platform. But it's quite interesting that you have such a nice and a broad vision in terms of what needs to be done for the industry as a whole, and it's truly inspirational with it. So thanks for covering these points, and thanks for the podcast today. That brings us to the conclusion of today's podcast. Thanks, Udit, for sharing your insights and experiences with us. I'm sure everyone listening into this podcast shall take away lots and lots of valuable information. And I say lots because it has been a truly remarkable podcast wherein you've shared a lot of new, interesting ideations, which I don't think most of the marketers even think about. And probably it's probably going to switch on a light in their minds as well in terms of what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. So probably kudos to you and your team as well for taking on those initiatives and working on so well in the India market. And with that, I would like to thank you for being a part of this podcast, and have a very nice day.